Applied Behaviour Solutions. My name is Robin. I'm a co-founder and director at AB Solutions. Our goal is to create a community for parents and professionals who work with children who have unique support needs. I know your time is valuable, so every Tuesday we release an episode loaded with quick tips designed to get you information that you can start using today. Today's episode is for teachers and professionals who work with kids and for the parents who are acting as interim teacher while our kiddos are home due to COVID-19. After watching this, I hope that you will walk away with some extra tools that will help make your already crazy day that little bit easier. I'm going to be discussing what you can do in class or at home to help get the best out of your child, no matter what support needs that they may have. So as we all know, most schools have reopened their doors and teachers are, and as well as the students, are dealing with stringent procedures in place to keep everybody safe. If teaching on an ordinary day can be tricky, we can only imagine the stress and the workload that teachers are facing now. Even before the corona outbreak, we had many teachers, therapists, and other professionals reach out to us for help in the classroom or during their session. The truth is, and it's an unfortunate truth, but the truth is that most teachers aren't given all of the tools that they need to work successfully with the increasing diversity of learning support needs some students are facing. This is where we come in. So at Applied Behaviour Solutions, we have trained technicians who join children who need additional support in class. We refer to this as facilitation, and it's not only limited to classrooms. As I mentioned before, we work with a variety of different professionals. So the approach that we take and the role that we play in class, really, it depends on the child that we're working with. So as an example, a kid who is in a remedial school and they struggle with communication and following instructions, what we may do is sit next to them or close to them and slowly work on building skills needed for them to be more independent in class. Our presence isn't disruptive at all. We are very discreet. In fact, many teachers have said how much they enjoy having an extra pair of hands in class. So we really want to only intervene where necessary. As we fade out, we may move away from the child and only step in where they actually need us. We go to school for many different reasons, depending on what that child needs. Sometimes it's social interaction, so it's mainly during break time, or teaching a kid to learn through observation with their peers. So we give our kids a variety of different cues just so that they are in touch with what we're trying to teach them. So as behavior specialists, we know how to identify the functions of children's behavior and how to intervene in a way that is going to work with each child as an individual. We also know the levels of skills that are involved, and we have procedures for teaching children school necessary skills such as paying attention or following instructions, as I said earlier, imitating from their peers, communicating their needs, and a whole bunch of other vital skills needed to be successful in a classroom. And as a teacher, this isn't always possible to spend that one-on-one time with one of your students, just due to the size of your classes and how many other kids you have to be working with at the same time. And so our collaboration will often determine the success that some children will have. Just for the teachers out there, if you haven't read our article, we've written 2 articles on the principles of behavior so far that can be found on our website. So if you want to go have a look at that, it is quite helpful and may help you in class. So our aim as facilitators is to go in, support, and fade out. While we do this, we also support the teachers and the therapists that work with the child And the feedback that we've received is incredible. The unfortunate thing is not every school can have one of our technicians in every classroom. So what I'd like to do today is give you some tips that I've given teachers in the past that have been successful. If you work with a kiddo that does need additional support, please feel free to contact us, or you could even speak to the parents of the child and let them know to contact us so we can help. So as always, while we're live, I will be answering any questions. If you have, just pop them in the comment section. If you're watching this after we're live, just pop a comment there and I will get back to you. So let's jump into some of the things that I've found really does help with successful teaching. So the first one is behavioral cues. So our kids tend to have an uncanny knack for getting distracted and forgetting what they should be doing. Um, Talking to their friends is way more interesting than anything you're going to be teaching them in class. So what we've recommended and what has helped is to use cues in the class that are going to work as reminders for children who have drifted off to refocus and continue working. So these cues, you can be really creative with them. They can be vocal, they can be auditory, they can be visual. For some kids, a teacher, like for a vocal cue, quite common ones are get back to work. You know, those, it's more like instructions, and this can be quite off-putting for children. It just sounds like another instruction that they need to listen to. So the more creative you get with it, the better. It's, for example, you could do something where you say eyes to table, and the kids have to, like, they know, okay, that's, I need to do that, or ears to teacher, and they have to like orient that way. Or you could say pen to table, hands on head, like whatever that cue is, and you can teach them a variety of different ones and have some fun with it. Visual ones are really fun too. So if your class is getting a bit rowdy or you can hear a little bit of chat everywhere, just start like patting your head and or touch your nose or do whichever cue it is, and you can have different cues with the class. So like you can teach them, okay, so this means that you need to sit up straight like a soldier, or you could do like a salute for like the soldier. You can do different ones for meaning different things. It will be more exciting that way. And you can even hand out like stars for the students who listen first. So like the first 5 kids who are doing this without you saying anything, and they realize and they start doing it, those kids could get a star. It helps like quiet the class and just refocus everyone. You could have auditory signals too. You can download some tunes on your phone. You could have like a wind chime that every time you chime, it means something. But these cues are really important. So in a classroom, you may have like 15 kids who listen well, 6 who need extra support, 10 who try their luck at taking chances, and you may have that one, maybe 2 students who need serious intervention, and their behaviors in class, it's not something that you were trained to deal with. So this is usually where we step in, but if you don't have a behavior technician with you in your classroom, which most teachers don't, what I'd recommend is when there are these specific kids who need specific support, you can place cues in for them individually. Things like having countdowns or transitional cues. So if you know that you're moving from a preferred activity to a less preferred activity, or it's a task that this kid specifically struggles with, or let's say certain behaviors elicited during circle time, you may want to give them warning well in advance so that they can prepare for it, as well as tools that they can use to prepare for it as well. But important here when talking about cues is what you can do to help prepare them. You could also have visual schedules, self-monitoring tools on desks is actually really, I love doing this. So it's a way to get kids to be more independent. A lot of our kids who have special needs need things to be broken down for them. So an act such as like asking a kid to write the date, write their name, get the worksheet that you've handed out, cut it out, stick it in, and rule off. Like that's quite a lot of uh, steps involved. So what you may want to look at doing is having I usually just put like a little piece of paper that you laminate on their desk, and you have either written or pictures depending on if the kid can read or not, but you have the steps involved and they can then follow that, and as they do one thing they tick it off and they read the next one. Okay, I need to do that, and it helps keep them on task, and it helps you or someone like us step back and fade away so that they're not always reliant on us, so that they are relying more on themselves. You may need to have sounds or signals for these kids. You may have intervention plans for their behaviors that don't involve the rest of the class. Now, teachers that I've spoken to about this often worry that having different interventions in for different kids is going to cause an upset in the class. My advice would be talk to your class, involve them, ask them how they feel, let them know that there may be different procedures for some kids, but that it's okay. Children are a lot more understanding and adaptable than we sometimes give them credit for. So just try that out. If needs be, you can discuss it with them in more detail, but typically just saying it as a fact often helps. All right, so tip number 2 would be routine and structure. Children, everyone knows this, children do their best when they know what to expect. It's especially true for learners with special needs. In a world where everything already takes more time and effort for them to understand than their peers, unpredictability can really leave them feeling derailed. So what I would do is have a schedule or calendars that have the day's plan where there's too much inconsistency. So, for example, there are some schools and classes that it's very loose. The day plan is very loose, and it's typically like this for the younger kids. Breaks are longer or shorter. There's no real break time. Sometimes they go on for 10 minutes, sometimes an hour. Sometimes having like a day where there's a lot of academic work and versus a day where there's only 1 or 2 worksheets done. All of these things really can set the kid off because but yesterday we did this and we worked a lot. Today we're not working a lot, so I'm getting used to not working a lot, and then the next day there's suddenly all this work again. So keep the days as scheduled and structured as possible. And for our kiddos, you can have those visuals either on a wall or on their table that will help them know what to expect next. Okay, number 3, and this is quite a nice one, is breaking things down. So, from instructions to task content, breaking things down into more manageable chunks can prevent learners from feeling overwhelmed. So, if you are asking a kid to write a story, it will be completed more effectively, efficiently, if they were told, okay, so now I want you to write 3 sentences about that introduces us to the character. So you're breaking it down essentially into introduction, body, and conclusion. But instead of telling them to write the whole story, you're actually telling them one thing at a time, stopping, and you're going to then also go through that work with them before moving on to the next part. This will really help if there are any challenges along the way, or if the kids get stuck at any point, you'll be able to pick it up before it trips them up completely. I would recommend to try this with all learners, but specifically for learners who have auditory processing difficulties, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and planning issues in general. Like this will really help those kids feel more successful. Tip Number four would be giving a kid responsibility. So, class monitor, handing out books, delivering messages to other teachers. These are all ways that we can give our kids a sense of responsibility. When a kid feels responsible for something and that you depend on them, it will automatically give them a sense of purpose and it will encourage them to do better work. You could even ask a kid who, let's say, struggles with a task and they struggle to pay attention to a task for a long period of time. Why not ask them to help another kid in the class with that task? This may be the encouragement that was needed from them to focus more so that they can actually help their friend. All right, number five would be confidence. And I can't stress this one enough. It's often the single most common cause that I find in children who fail or don't even try to succeed. So, like we've all known these kids, we all see it. We've probably all been there before. Somewhere along the way, these kids have their confidence has been knocked so hard that they lose the will to try. They honestly, like I've had so many kids where they just don't believe they're able to do it. I will put a simple sum in front of them, 5 plus 2, and the anxiety and that performance anxiety of I'm not going to be able to do this, I know I can't do this, just completely trips them up. Whereas if you put it into, like, 5 minutes later, I would go outside and play a game with them where they weren't even knowing that they were doing a sum and they would get it right. So it's really when a kid believes that they can do something, they automatically try harder to do it, and they feel more successful. So, what I would want to see from all teachers and is to be that voice for them. Praise them when they do things right, but don't just say it's like, okay, well done, you did it, good job. Sometimes when you really go in it and you're like, wow, that was amazing, and you do it in front of other kids, so like in front of the whole class. I'm sure you guys have all done it before, like get a kid to stand on their chair and be like, that, like Joshua over here, can you believe that he did XYZ? um, this often works better in the lower grade classes. I think kids get a little bit embarrassed with this as they get older, but there is a way to do it, like recognition in front of peers, and it really is such a strong motivator. Other things that we've done is letting their parents know. So you can take photos of a test that they did really well in, or a picture that they drew really nicely, or the fact that they got along with their friends now. If you're having trouble with a kid who's having trouble with other kids and is either bullying or um, doing stuff to upset other children, praise them for the times that they are appropriate. Let's say you take a quick video of how your kid shared something with the other kids, send it to their parents, and when the kid gets home, the parents will see, oh, I heard that you did this and this, and they'll start seeing that, oh wow, that's actually really cool that I got attention for something good. I usually try and do something bad to get attention, but this worked just as well, even not, if not better. You can give them certificates, a whole bunch of different ways to just boost them a little bit. Um, as important is um, to let them know that it's okay to make mistakes. So model this to them and also the appropriate ways to deal with it. So if you see, if you're busy writing something on the chalkboard, make a mistake, show them, say, oh my goodness, like I was not meant to write an O there, I was meant to write an A. Silly. And wipe it off and start again. Kids often look at us as adults and believe that we know what we're doing and we never make mistakes. So when they learn that, look, oh, my teacher makes mistakes, my mom makes mistakes, and they're fine. Like they just move on, they fix it and they move on. And it's not world shattering. This will help them when they get test results back and they made a couple of mistakes. It's fine, it's going to happen. We need to model that for our kids. All right, so those are our tips. They are at a very basic level. I didn't go into too much depth just because I want to try and keep these episodes as short as possible. If you feel like there is more that you would like to learn, if there's a specific child that you are struggling with in class and you're not sure how to help them, send me a message. I'll make another video for the teachers out there that do want this. If we get enough requests, there's no one size fits all approach. Every teacher and classroom differs depending on the like. There's a number of variables. If you're already doing all of the above tips and your child is still struggling in class, they may need further support both inside and outside the classroom. My biggest message to teachers is remember that you are doing an amazing job. And for the first time, teachers are getting the recognition that they deserve. I think every parent out there can now testify to the love, energy, work, passion, everything that teachers put in, as well as professionals who work with kids put in on a daily basis. And perhaps also why you need that extra tall glass of wine in the evening. I hope you found today's talk helpful. It's my goal to be brief and detailed today. Sorry, we went a little bit over time, but you can now get back to what you need to be doing. Tune in next week for another episode of Quick Tip Tuesday. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to watch this and other episodes. If you have any topics that you would like me to discuss in one of these, please feel free to message me and I will happily do a video on that. All right, everybody, stay safe. Bye.